Tonight we're very happy, as I say, to have with us Miss Cathleen Chambless and her newest book of poetry, NECRomantic. To give us a welcome is her publisher. Please welcome Mr. Jason Scheinheit.
Thank you, Steve. First, I want to say thank you for everyone for coming, and thank you for Books and Books for hosting this awesome event. I met Cathleen, 15 months ago at an AWP in Minneapolis. I'm from Minnesota. Basically, she came up, she really enjoyed the aesthetic of, the punk aesthetic of the guerrilla press, and through conversation and through email, we started a relationship where she had sent me work, a chapbook called Sugar Coated, which is printed within this book. And I fell in love with it, and I wanted more, and I asked her if she had a full-length book, and this was what she gave me, and it's truly awesome. NECRomantic is the death of romanticism, the notion of a way things should be or should have been. From the first page, a transformation of the artist begins, the shedding of the old self into the new beginning in which Cathleen only knows. The death of the ideal, the binary between the American dream fantasy and the fraction of its "this is the only way." Using confessional styles mixed with a classic poetry archetypes, NECRomantic's true force is the power to forgive oneself while never forgetting how that artist got to where she is. How a person can hold on to love while losing the one you love. Holding a mirror up to herself, Cathleen drives to understand and bring understanding to the reader. That the ones you love, spirits always remain, even though through tragedy or bigotry. And this, I think, leaves the reader hopeful. However, knowing that there is more work to be done to understand what we don't know instead of degrading, maiming, or disregarding people that differ from themselves. So without further ado, Cathleen.
Okay. Hi, can you all hear me? Okay, thank you all for coming. I'd also like to thank Jason very much for publishing this book, and you truly made my dream come true. This is a really surreal, awesome moment for me right now. I'd also like to thank Books and Books, definitely for hosting this event. This is great, and more that I could have ever asked for. And I would also like to pay respects to Campbell McGrath and Denise Duhamel, who are not here today, but without them, this book would not be what it is. So, I'm gonna read some poems from my book. Okay. All right, this one is called 44 Ways to Measure You and Me. June 28, 2013, our first kiss. After mouthfuls of carrot cake, 37 minutes and 23 seconds of Le Tigre. Your hand in my panties before an AA meeting. By full moons, quarter moons, and half moons. Spent slow dancing on gravel next to ocean waves. Monday nights at open mic, I read before you sang. February 13th, 2013, pink cupcakes in a park. A blue glitter box filled with an artistic rendition of your heart. By beads of sweat and tangled ligaments, slick secretions mixed with exasperated exhales of I love yous. I said yes, my head on your chest. In poems I wrote you, in songs you wrote me. In secrets of CCs, syringes, and plastic baggies. Hepatitis writing. You said I would never find you, but I always did. In parks, on street corners, in a cemetery. The percentage of DNA in teardrops. The percentage of heroin in your veins. The percentage of cell phone battery left after suicide threats, followed by records, rings, and guitar strings. The time we talked about getting married on Halloween. We would name our daughter Wednesday. Own a record company. The songs we never recorded together. The shows you never saw me play. The amount of times you said Wednesday is dead. September 13th, 2013. The diagnosis: cancer dances in your pancreas and liver. She shares herself with your organs and makes your body a bordello. Scar tissues, coffins, the year you have left alive, the sorrow, the guilt when I leave before you die. Great. This one is called Lapsed. A forearm's kiss of indigo, indignant snake restraint. Peeled baby black plastic purses, sprinkle, sprinkle, splatter, toxic matter. Twinkle, twinkle, teaspoon star. Bubbled amber, glittered fizzle, a syringe sucking, sucking, gushing, a violation of the heart. Crimson burst births from ventricles to a vial. Morse code black, tap, tap, dash, numerals glass. Pupils pin, eyelids slip, XO, XO, I loved you so. So this next one is an ode. It's called On Dying Alone. I think it's funny. Other people think it's depressing, but it's just kind of like an ode to maybe like dying alone and being like that badass old lady with cats. Dying alone, alone with a cat with a witch, an old witch, alone with a cat. I will be that lady, the old lady without kids, except the kids in the neighborhood. Kids in the neighborhood, afraid of me? Me, I will be a dare, a double doggy dare on Halloween. On Halloween, I double doggy dare you to ring my doorbell. Ring, not on these fingers. These fingers made this house blacked out, except for a candle in the attic window. The attic window, a red light to throw everyone off. Adults think I turn tricks with those treats. What a treat to be that old puta bruja sucia. A puta bruja sucia with a shotgun in a rocking chair on her stoop. On my stoop with my cat, I purr. A purr to welcome the end of everything. So this next one is called Our Night Out. It's a villanelle, so there's repetition. But yeah, it's kind of, I've had a lot of friends pass away, so this is just kind of like a poem for my friends. I spray painted my name inside a heart across the walls of an empty pool. Took a nap in the dead leaves huddled in the deep end. Finished the pack of Marlboro Reds that belonged to my dead friend. Spray painted his name inside of a heart with wings. Drank a fifth of Johnny Walker, lit a candle and dumped a shot in the dirt for him. Took a nap in the darkest shadows of the cemetery. Later, drank a quart of King Cobra and sang Bikini Kill to the full moon from the roof. Vomited SpaghettiOs and secrets on my neighbor's stoop. Do you believe in ghosts? I do. Though I still feel silly writing them letters and playing their favorite records. When I dream about dead friends, I pretend they're visiting me. I say, my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long. And we play Frisbee and smoke weed and get married. Spray paint our names inside a heart along the walls of an empty pool. Kiss in the deep end until I remember you're all dead. So I really like rhyme and the musicality of the line. So this one is called Ode to Rainbows, and I kind of like sing it, so. Kiss us in the hibiscus, oh my darling Clementine, who sucks gobs of honey from the hive. In the swamp where alligators loll, more for butterflies glitter the sky. Please forget me not. If you listen closely, you can hear the wild iris cry. This one is called America. I really enjoy playing with language a lot and rhyming. I really think rhyming is an underused gesture lately, and I don't know, I just really take delight in words. And as my friend Mo said, America is kind of like the longest dystopian novel. So this poem is for that. Albert Einstein appreciated honeybees, their hexagons and dances of isosceles. He knew if they died, so do we. And in the crops, I see the cropsy. The boogeyman, Monsanto, Agent Orange's dad, maker of mechanical vegetable inseminators. Barotrauma barbaric, air pressure presses, puny bad hearts, pitter patter pinch explode. Cell phone radiation, echolocation, clutter, wings flutter, echolocation. Jam, ban, fish, in the river, eating genetically modified chicken litter. Five-legged, seven-eyed, dolly sheep eating peeps. Here, critter, critter. Little Miss America baking cake batter from bukkake bowl, all alone. Poor thing, blighted by the society that jacked off to her. So this book is definitely like informed by witchcraft. I've had the really fortunate experience of living in the Boiling Point. It's a queer, anarchist sort of punk house, and one of our roommates had a lot of like witchy friends that would come through, and they totally inspired me a lot. So this is one poem. Find it. It's called Pick a Card. We practice the Egyptian fairy voodoo with kisses beneath the eclipsed blood moon and mouthfuls of hieroglyphic birthday cake on the roof. We painted the sky with frosting, and that's why the clouds are blue. Let's play with pyromancy, hydromancy, aeromancy, geomancy, necromancy. Let's brush up on your divination. Pick a card, but not any card. Pick the one that pulls your fingertips like the metal of the bridle in a horse's mouth. Blood moon. 3 a.m. lunar eclipse, lying on my back on the tarmac of my roof. The moon submerged under the umbra of the earth. Rust smothers the last silver heirloom. A red embryo glows in the sky, the shadow of its fetus dissolving inside. Clouds spread like secrets you weren't supposed to tell. Skeletons. Sorry for leaving our skeletons in lounge chairs on the front lawn, drinking pink lemonade from glasses with little umbrellas. Sorry that they ripped your chest open after sharpening their fingers into ivory knives. Sorry that they posted pictures of you masturbating on the internet. No one told you? That's what happens when you lock them in the closet for too long. A couple more. So I really love insects. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been very fascinated by them and how much, I don't know, I guess part of how easily they sort of evolve in comparatively a small amount of time compared to human lifespans, at least. And also, I just think it's really fascinating about how a lot of the way that they have their societies, particularly bees, are like humans. At least I find that, so I think that's pretty cool. So this one's called Insects versus Humans. To create a hive, you need the internet and a skyline that streaks the horizon like the aurora borealis. To create a queen bee, you need to feed the baby royal jelly, then catacomb the bambino in wax. To create happy, spray a rainbow from a garden hose, glitter that with confetti made from the purple petals of a jacaranda tree. Honeybees create happy too, by suckling gobs of liquefied amber. They wobble across the combs until they are drunk-taked by more productive members of the colony. To create sobriety, destroy the happy. To destroy a colony, incept a brain with cordyceps. A mushroom bloom showers spores over bodies. One by one, they morph into calcified corpse. To create ghosts, keep burning histories and herstories. Make sandcastles out of the ashes of their recordings. Wipe the ectoplasm clean. So I think I'm just gonna read one more. It's a little small one. This one I'm definitely dedicating to my dad. So hope. Somewhere among the knees of cypress trees, little gnomes unfold, ghost orchids bloom. Thanks. guess also something I would like to point out, there's art inside of the book. And my friend Erin, she put it together pretty much. Like, it was a collaborated effort. I did the photography, it's black and white. That's actually made with like film pictures. It's not digital, any of these images. And then she collaged them together. And I don't know, it was really cool to see the patterns that she created out of them and the images. I don't know, it's pretty interesting. And then we wanted to do like a queer feminist reinterpretation of the tarot card deck. And yeah, she made that happen really well. That's really all I can say. And I guess I sit down and you ask me questions or something like that. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So, would anyone have any questions about anything that you want to ask? Yes?
How long did it take you to write the book?
Like 3 years, our graduate program. But I did add more afterwards, so maybe like 3.5 years.
Did you start writing your poems with a book in mind, or at some point did you just realize that it could?
Well, in the MFA program, you know your thesis is your first book. And I just started noticing patterns in my writing and then just kind of holding onto those and putting them together. So.
Yeah, so your aesthetic is pretty unconventional. Queer, feminist, dark, like gothic, you know, all that stuff. Did you find that there was like any resistance?
Of course.
And how did you like summon the courage to like, you know, I don't know how it was like during workshop.
No, actually, like what I really love about FIU is we're all really supportive of one another. In some graduate programs, teachers kind of like, from what I hear anyway, like throw students in the ringer against each other, and FIU does not do that. And I don't know, I feel like everyone has been really supportive with each other and just helping you get out what you want to get out and express it clearly. Campbell and Denise were great with that as well. Now, when it comes to submitting to places to publish, you kind of have to find your niche. Like if I'm trying to send these poems to somewhere who just kind of wants old white men publishing poems about autumn leaves, like it's obviously not going to go there. So.
Big fan. So this, you drink and draw from like a pretty dark, deep well. Do you worry that it'll run dry and you might have to go elsewhere in terms of the aesthetic?
That is a good question. I mean, yeah, you do interviews a lot. You're good at that. No, I'm not afraid of the well running dry. Like, I think maybe different books will have different moods, and that's just kind of how it goes. And as you grow as an artist, you'll see that in your work. So, yeah, I started writing my second book, so there are some things that it's just different. It's just not NECRomantic. And I think they're awesome.
Are any pieces in the book things that you had prior to your program at FIU?
No. No, none of it is any old poetry. I have, though, at times, like, saved certain stanzas from older poems that weren't working and put them in the new poems. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah?
When did you decide to write poetry?
When did I decide to write poetry? I started writing poems when I was a kid, but I started as a studio art major before, And I really do love photography. I miss the darkroom a ton. But I took some creative writing courses at FSU and then continued on at FIU. And I just knew that, I don't know, I just knew that's what I was supposed to do. And also, mom and dad like encouraged me a lot. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Am I like gonna go into social work? Am I gonna go to law school? And then I think mom told dad that it would be a waste if I didn't do something with this. And then dad told me, and I was like, okay, I got the okay. I'm gonna be a poet. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay, Lisa and then Carter.
I just wanted to ask, so all the art and photography is original too?
Yeah, this is all original between me and Erin Money. She did the illustrations, and then she also like collaged the photography. Some things were like more of a joint efforts than others, like the jar. I redrew the tattoo and stuff, and she like had images that she created, and we put them together. It's really cool. I don't know, collaborative art is really great.
So I really know you before, and I've read your stuff, I've heard you read before, and I've never really come across anything like NECRomantic. So do you pull from any sources, any writers that you feel like are in the same vein of what you're writing about and how you're writing?
I don't know. I feel like I definitely have influences, like Sylvia Plath when it comes to sound. Like I for sure looked at her a lot, and like how she does that sort of like dark nursery rhyme, you know, like it sounds upbeat and stuff, but then when you look at the content, it's darker. Like that's a gesture I definitely was influenced from her. And it's funny because actually later on I found a poet, C.A. Conrad, and he does a lot of like sort of like queer witchy poems. But I didn't see that till later, honestly, but it was just cool to see like, oh, it kind of like gave me permission, like I can do this, like I can write spells and poems, like why not? It was nice to see someone else doing that thing.
Are y'all selling your deck?
Or what?
Tarot deck, are you selling that?
No, we're not, but that's a really good idea. I would love to sell it to you, though, if we do ever make one.
Can you share with us a little bit more about how the depth in your life has influenced your work? Or not, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty personal question, but I guess, like, what, I don't know, I mean, just, like, growing up, a lot of kids, I guess, think they're invincible, and then you find out the hard way that they're not, you know, and you really miss them a lot. And, like, the line about, like, when I say, like, I see friends or whatever, that, and, like, oh my gosh, you're, like, I haven't seen you in so, like, that actually happens in my dreams. I'm like, wow, why haven't I seen you in so long? And then at some point in the dream, I remember that person's dead. I'm like, that's why I haven't seen you, and that's why this isn't real. And yeah, I don't, like, so it was just something that, like, I think, like, the first time I experienced that, I was probably, like, 19, so, and I didn't realize, like, how much it was going to happen, but it did. And, yeah, some deaths affect you more than others. I really hate seeing parents, like, bury their kids. That's a real crappy one. And my dad passed away last year, so my second book is going to be more informed by him. Welcome.
If there is such a thing, what are some of the main feelings that you're drawing from in some of your work? If there is such a thing.
You know, that's really funny. Apparently grief, which is like part of like how NECRomantic kind of like became a title. And I didn't know that until my teacher, Campbell McGrath, named it for me. Like, he was like, oh, there's a lot of grief in your poems, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. Yeah.
It seems to me that there's a lot of elements of hope and unhopefulness in your poetry. So I'm kind of curious, do you consider yourself a hopeful or an unhopeful writer?
Yeah, hopeless romantic. I would like to say hopeful, because like I worked really, really hard to get where I am today, and to do this, like, I don't know. I was a completely different person like 5 years ago. So I don't know, it kind of like, I went through a lot of stuff, and I had a lot of like things that I guess I just had to grow through. So I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know, there's like that expression, beauty in dirt. So it's kind of what I go for. Okay.
Could you articulate a little bit like how you think the MFA program helped to mature and shape your work and your voice as a poet?
Huh.
There's this big debate, you know, how.
I mean, I was introduced to a lot of other poets, like contemporary poets and their work. So that was a big thing. And then a lot of the teachers may have known the poets personally, or just had a sort of knowledge about them, like really humanized the poets more than anything is something that I noticed. And what else? I don't know, like we were all just like really encouraging. It didn't really feel like, I never felt like crying in a workshop. And like FIU does a really great job at creating a sort of community. Like that sort of opens up, like that's how I met Aaron, because there's a broad, like a whole community of artists and poets that do broadsides. So they, like this whole like gate kind of opened up. And that's how I learned more about Oh Miami and all of that. So, does that answer your question? Okay.
So in the intro, it described your work as a death of romanticism. Is that, I find your poems very romantic. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Like how you feel about romanticism? Is it contributing to that practice, or is it countering
it? Well, I think it's just like a romanticization of death, honestly, and dark things. And I think that's kind of common sometimes with young artists. There is that sort of, oh, we're all such like tragic artists, blah, 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 blah. But then you find really like we're just tragic, you know? Like, and so yeah, it's kind of like, or also like the love for the dead that I've lost at the same time too, and respect for them. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Well, folks, if there are no more questions, we want to get to signing and some selling of some books. But before we do, that was such a wonderful presentation. Can we get another round of applause for our poet, Cathleen?
Thank you. Thanks so much.
And for those of you watching online, I know you're watching. I see you watching. So call us here. Get some books. We'll get them signed for you. We'll get them shipped to you. For those of you here, the books are for sale behind the counter. Kathleen will sit right here and sign for you. If I could ask you one favor, if as you rise, you fold your chairs, that'll give us a lot of room to visit with Kathleen. Thank you all so much for coming this evening.